Good morning, Celtic fans, and welcome back to the channel. Well, it's another day in the transfer window, and there's plenty of updates to talk about. So here it is.
The following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello there, good morning, and welcome back to Celtic World Order. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you back once again for a brand new video. For this case, it is another transfer latest, a wee bit of the updates of what's been going on in the past sort of 24 hours since we last spoke, and there has indeed been quite a fair bit of movement with both outgoings and also potential incomings. Thank you again for taking your time out your day to come back to Celtic World Order to get some Celtic content. Just before we kick off, the wee bit of housekeeping, I just want to thank, on behalf of all the CWO team here, for every single one of your engagement with the channel recently. The past 24 hours have been fantastic for ourselves. We've had 2 videos. We've had over 6,000 views on those videos, an uptake of over 200 additional subscribers to the channel and 316 likes. That really does help out the channel grow, and it's great to see that level of engagement. It's great to see all your comments. It's great to see that you're enjoying the content. Thank you very much. We really, truly do appreciate that. Often podcasts and channels won't say that, but for ourselves, we will always be grateful, and we will always give a time of day to anybody who's engaging with this channel. So if you are new to this channel, if this is the first time you're seeing us, then welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, then thank you very much again for coming back. Before you head out here, before you watch this video, it takes you 2 seconds. Make sure that you hit the subscribe and the bell icon. Every time we go live, every time we upload a video, you'll get notified and you'll never miss a beat. If you want to get us elsewhere, we're also on social media. We are on X, and that's at CWPod1888. Well, that is it. That's a wee bit of housekeeping out the way. So, as we always say here in Celtic World Order, let's get down to business. Because what's been happening since we last spoke? Well, we profiled a couple of the guys that were supposedly coming in, and also there was chat in previous shows about potential outgoings, and we've got some movement on both those sides of the transfer window. There's going to be some incomings almost imminent, and we have a confirmed departure today. So let's just start off with the ones that we spoke about briefly yesterday, and a quick update regarding this. This is obviously Alex Valle, 20-year-old Spanish left back, as we say. He was at Barcelona, a product of youth academy, 66 career appearances in total. Now, he is a B team product. He's played in the pre-season friendlies with Barcelona. You can go and see that. There is some fantastic play from him. There's a delightful outside of the boot assist that he gets in one of those games as well, if that's your fancy. But he's also been playing in the second and third tier, as we said before, in Spanish football. He was previously on loan last season at Levante, making 29 appearances, and he's got 17 Spain unders caps. Now, with regards to, Alex Valle, I want to talk about him a wee bit, just because it's been a really mixed reaction to this player from, the wider Celtic community, and I'm very, very surprised at that. Before, we've seen the typical sort of opinions: young guy, youth academy, prospect, that's never going to do, that's embarrassing, that's not levelling us up. And no disrespect to yourselves or anyone that may have that sort of opinion, I'm completely baffled by that one, because if you take a quick snapshot and you look around the chat and the noise around this young chap, and you look at Barcelona forums and fan responses to posts by various agents like your Fabrizio Romano, etc., who have confirmed this, there's actually a lot of Spanish football fans, Barcelona supporters in there singing this guy's praises, talking him up, saying that they are surprised that Barcelona have let him go out to Celtic, and Celtic have got on their hands a fantastic player. They would know better than ourselves, I'm sure. They are the guys that are seeing him week in, week out, or have knowledge of him, similar to the way that we would have more of a knowledge of guys over in these shores here. But for me, I think undoubtedly this guy has bags and bags of talent. He's got the energy, he's got the athleticism, he's got the delivery, and he's got the technical ability that, with all due respect to Greg Taylor, it's pretty clear that there is deficiencies in his game. But as I've said over and over with regards to this, we talk about quality. And sometimes I think as fan base, we need to recalibrate what our interpretation of quality is. people always think of quality as being, say, a household name, playing at a big team in a big league and a regular starter, or also a huge fee. We've seen that that's not the case. And as I've championed over and over, we should be looking at teams like Barcelona, as we've previously, Man City, PSG, Benfica. Look at their academy products, because they're brought in and they're nurtured from a very early age as a professional footballer. They are led the way that is the way that they should be playing, about overall professionalism, application, attitude, also the technical ability, the style of play, and basically to make them elite athletes. Now, I know that's a cover-all term, but they really are at these clubs. The focus on making them the best version of themselves is drilled into them from a very, very early age. And we've seen that successes with your Edwards, with Ncham, with Jota. You know, the list goes on. We've had a really good strike rate going to these big teams and getting youth academy products. As I've said, similar to when we discussed what I thought the vision for Celtic's youth setup should be, we should be adopting that, where we get in the best talent that we can, nurture them, get them in pro contracts. And like Alex Valle, now he might actually return because it's only a year's loan. However, there's a buyout clause of €3 million, as we say, £2.5 million. Previously, when he was first with them, they had a €30 million buyout clause on him. And as time's ticked on, that's whittled down. That's sometimes just the way these contracts work. They insert it in and it's got to be triggered like within the first year. Otherwise, it just suddenly drops like a stone. This is the case here with this guy. If they've previously put that kind of release fee on him at a younger age, that shows the potential that's there. And that's the kind of thing that we should be reading into. I think that he's a fantastic opportunity for Celtic. Yes, the idea that it's just a loan, it's still not been 100% clear. There's a lot of people saying there is absolutely no option to buy. That may well be the case. I believe that it's more than likely just a straight up loan, but bear in mind, they extended his contract. That by the time that runs out in 2025, he'll have 1 year on it. If he has been impressed with what he's seen at Celtic, if he's enjoyed his football, if he has played regularly, if we have had a good Champions League campaign, or even if we haven't, if he's just experienced that, and particularly if we can get some trophies again under our belt, then those are the kind of things that are just going to sell the club further to him. Now, his wages, I believe that's supposedly meant to be in around the 20 to 24,000 a week mark. It is quite high for a young guy. That's unconfirmed, but that's the number that's swirling about. And people might turn and say, well, in the fullness of time, a year down the line, the wages could be the issue. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And as I say, I am more than confident that he can come into Celtic, make that impact, see the stature of the club, like I just says, that impact that it had on the likes of Matt O'Reilly, and we can easily sell ourselves to him, where we would put ourselves in the first driving seat. We'd be in pole position at the earliest opportunity next summer to get this guy. Now, he's supposedly coming over, if not already within the country, but that's going to be getting talks ongoing, medical, and hopefully he's going to be one of the first guys who are going to be over the line. If I'm going to be optimistic, by tomorrow, probably Thursday. You know the way that Celtic work, don't we? We've seen it before. We've seen it with Sinisalo, for example. The guys sign and you get all this, we're talking about him, we're in conversation, and he's pictured in a tracksuit. So you probably find that these guys will be in, that I'm about to talk about, maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday, and they'll have signed, and then they'll just drip feed out through the course of Friday to make it look a wee bit more exciting. That's just the foolish way that, for whatever reason, football clubs do it these days. But yep, Alex Verhey, he will be pretty much a cert. He is en route, and that is definitely, as I say, one that fans should be getting excited about. I think he's definitely going to be an upgrade on that as well. Now, the other name as well that we spoke about briefly was Matthias Bogus, 23-year-old attacking midfielder from Poland, currently, as we say, is at LAFC. As I said, they were in talks with Celtic, however, they had that cup final that they lost 3-1. He actually supplied the assist to Oliver Giroud in that game. And again, this is one that has been confirmed. Talks now are at a stage where he's going to be coming over with representatives, going to be looking at getting him over the line. Currently, as we say, is just the highlight stats, 76 appearances for LA since 2003 with 23 goals and 15 assists. He is an attacking midfielder, but he can play left or right, and he can also be utilised as a centre forward. Previous experience over in here, also in Europe at Ibiza. It is what it is. And he had a wee short period at Leeds. Didn't quite work out for him. That's when he's moved on. He's got himself over to LAFC. And he has, by all accounts, been setting that league in fire. He's definitely a key player for him. So much so that they wanted to retain him for that cup final. It didn't make a difference, but now's the time. The pathway is clear. They are happy for the player to come over. They are happy to go into conversations with Celtic. And again, this is a guy that I think that we will definitely be getting in, and he'll add some well-required firepower to those wing positions. Maeda's been playing fantastic. James Forrest has been a surprise package. Nicholas Kuhn has been absolutely blazing as well. But as we know, and we'll get round to him, there's Palma, there's Yang, not quite offering the exact same, not like for like, not putting in the same amount of work, the same amount of effort, not giving you the same returns. So they could be potentially moving out. We'll get round to that. But Bogus gives us a fantastic option. The fee, again, some people are saying it's a bit high. The chat is it's going to be around about the £7 million mark, potentially more. But again, as our manager says, you've got to put the price on the talent, not the league that they're playing at. Matthias Bogus, he is one to keep an eye on. He will be getting himself over here as well. And again, of the two that I've just mentioned here, I would 100% expect Bogus and Valle to be completely solid, cast iron, signed up. Funnier things have happened, but the way the trajectory is going with these talks, with the ambition, with the desire to get these players in, Valle, that's bank. Take that one to the bank right now. Bogus, I think, will happen. Obviously, he needs to get himself over from LA. That's a long flight. There's a lot of delays. But as long as everything's put in place, as long as he's signed off in that paperwork, then there is slight allowances. It could be signed off, agreed, put through, with potentially maybe even a medical still to happen after it, with the acceptance that if the medical was failed, then it's null and void. Things like that. So don't worry. That one looks very positive. In terms of other things that have came to the fore, we'll address a couple of them. This one came back out again. This is Austin Trustley. We spoke about him earlier in the show a couple of days ago, and the fee getting touted here is £5 million. That story was brought out by Scott Burns, Scottish journalist. Of course, we've had various sources last week regarding this guy, 26-year-old USA international. He is a centre back, left-hand sided, which will be very, very good when we get on to one of the departures here. But he can also move over and he can cover at left back. So again, between Valle, Taylor, Trustley, there's options. Liam Scales, it's looking good there out on that left-hand side if we get him in. We've made an approach for him. The fee is said to be circa £5 million. Now, that's almost the same fee that they paid Arsenal for in 2023. Yeah, he's been at Sheffield United, 36 appearances in total. He was part of that disastrous Premier League campaign. However, I don't think that you can levy the blame at one defender. I think it's a complete team effort. They were coming to a gunfight with a penknife, and well, it is what it is. Again, look at the guy's stats. He's had 252 career appearances, 2 full USA international caps. He's had vast experience at Sheffield United, also Birmingham, where he made 40 appearances, and previously in the USA playing for Colorado and Philadelphia. £5 million, that's about reasonable, isn't it? When we think we spent 4.5 on Nawrocki, we spent 3.5 on Lagerbielke. With this guy's numbers, with that 252 senior appearances in his career, far more rounded, far more experienced. Yeah, he was scarred from a Premier League season, but it will no doubt have made him all the better player, having come up against some top tier opposition week in, week out. £5 million for that level of experience versus, as we say, Lagerbielke and Nawrocki, how much we paid for them, with half or less in terms of game time on the pitch at pro level. It looks like it's a surefire bet, and definitely one that will be interesting to keep an eye on. It's pretty clear that the manager wants to get reinforcements in at the back. We says we're looking thin. Nawrocki still injured, still out there. Lagerbielke moved on, and we'll get on to that. So it makes good sense to get him in. If that's one that is manageable to do, then absolutely, again, I'm here for that. I'm all for it. And what is also interesting is this could also bring into question Mikey Johnson's future, because the manager was asked about it. He was quite candid. He was quite wishy-washy, as we say. He didn't really commit to it. And I think it's clear that particularly if we are looking at Bogus as an option, we're looking at Engels. We're going to start getting. We've got Bernardo there. We've got Kuhn. We've got Forrest. It's starting to nudge out Mikey Johnson, dropping him down. There's obviously still Palma and Yang as well, but we'll get on to them. So his options look as if they're starting to thin out. He has been playing. He played pre-season. He looked not too bad. He's riding the crest of the wave with his stock down south from his performances at West Brom. So I think that's the time. Apparently, Sheffield United are interested. There's also been Burnley mentioned as well. But if Austin Trustley is someone that we are interested in, the Mikey Johnson could be used here as a bargaining chip at £5 million. It depends on how much we put on the price of Mikey Johnson. For me personally, I think the days off it being a 1-for-1 swap are probably not going to happen. If there's a player plus money deal, I reckon we'd maybe give him like £1 million or something like that, along with Mikey Johnson. But then you also get that silly situation, don't you, where Celtic hand him £5 million for Austin, and then a day later they hand us £5 million. So I don't know, but either way, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on, the Austin Trustley situation, because definitely is an area that we need to reinforce, and it will give us multiple options at what has been a very lacklustre, very thinned out left sort of defence option there. Mikey Johnson, as I say, throw him into the mix. I'm all for it. If we can get Mikey Johnson off the books, then it is what it is. Again, yeah, he's not too bad, but how many times do we need to keep on covering Mikey Johnson the channel? It's just not going to work out for him, unfortunately. Sometimes players just need to move on and they'll have a cracking career elsewhere. For me, 9 years at the club, how many chances do you want, Mikey? The time is now to move on. So in terms of other names that have been thrown into the mix, this one came out again. This is one that was previously mentioned here, which was Chris Metham. He is at Bournemouth, 26-year-old Welsh centre-back. He is right-sided on the pitch. That's a wee bit sort of not necessarily confusing, but it's not necessarily an area that we need quite so much. Obviously, we get Carter Vickers now. You could always argue it's great to have additional, backups for someone like him, and he can also move over, so he would technically be another backup potentially for Johnson as well. We've got Ralston there. It would give us more options. In terms of him, it'd be interesting to see how much the fee came. This was one sort of earlier at the start of the window that we'd mentioned. So he's playing at Bournemouth. He's been there for many years now, 121 appearances for Bournemouth since 2018. Previously, he had 48 appearances when he was at Brentford. But more importantly, he's had 36 Welsh international caps. So again, very, very well experienced at 26 years of age. Similar to Austin Trustley, he's at a good prime age, plenty of experience, well-rounded, and again, ticking a couple of boxes there. Now, there's been no fee mentioned here, but this one could be a wee surprise package potentially if there's any solidity, if there's any foundation to these stories, because his contract's actually up June 2025. So in terms of how much he would cost, well, he's still playing at Bournemouth. He's still playing at a good level, and they'd be looking for some cash on him. But unlike Austin Trustley at £5 million, it's got to be a lot less. So again, if you're looking at an option to bring in and we're looking to really bolster that defence, then do you know what? It would be one to have in. And it's always good to have guys like him, Trustley, Carter Vickers, plenty of experience there, and have guys jostling out for the position, because iron sharpens iron. Good players make good players even better, and having that competition, having that real depth would be fantastic, wouldn't it? It'd be long overdue, because our back line always feels as if it's been kind of running on empty. There's been one or two really dependable players, and then it's kind of just been a wee bit makeshift, or it could be better. So if we could get in two centre backs, one that can play in the left, one that can play in the right, also versatility to go out to the wing back positions, on top of Alex Vahe, well, we're looking good, aren't we? That would be absolutely cracking. So again, that's just an early report. That's just another one that's resurfaced yesterday. Other than mentioning that Celtic could be interested on him, there's been nothing more. So as always, if anything with a story develops, we will make sure that we're here. We'll make sure that we're on it, and we'll talk about it. In terms of things that are not happening, we broke this one nice and early yesterday. It just came out the tail end in the early morning yesterday, and that was that we were after Isaacson from Lazio. We gave his numbers, we gave his stats. He was a fantastic potential addition to Celtic's wing area. But it turns out that as quick as that story was put out there, that Celtic had put out the feelers, saw if he'd maybe be into it, he quickly replied and says, no, I want to stay at Lazio. I want to try and fight for my place. And fair play to him. You've got to say, why not? He's only been there for a year. He had great impact. He had great numbers for them. And he'll be thinking, I've done my piece. I'll be wanting to continue to play here. And, whether it be or Celtic, we're very biased. If you're playing at Lazio in the Italian league, probably if you're already in there and you've been getting a game there, going to look like a more appealing proposition. So you can't blame him for that. But again, just because the player wants to stay and fight for his place doesn't mean that in the next couple of days he's going to be told, you know what, I know you want to stay here, but we don't want you here. And that could potentially open up the door. However, as I say, with some of the names and the fees that we've been getting linked with, the likes of Engels, the likes of Bogus, Trusley, we're starting to get into bones there, about 20 odd million there. Are we then going to go and get a guy? It would have been on loan with an option to buy. His fee was meant about 10, 12 million pounds. So as I say, if it was potential to get him in on loan, it might happen. Kick that fee down the line to next season. But at this moment in time, that one is not happening. And in terms of another one that's not happening, let's just get this right out here because this is not happening. Odsonne Edouard. French Eddie. It's not happening, right? It's just not happening. It's been floated again. It's the similar to the KT situation, who is also not coming, by the way. That we fire that out there, don't we? Celtic are interested in French Eddie. Yeah, do you know what? I'm sure Celtic would have been interested in French Eddie. The manager brought him in. We all know what the manager thinks of French Eddie. However, it is not going to happen. And there's multiple reasons why it's not going to happen. Firstly, we've just spent 8.5 rising up to 9.5 for Ida. It's clear that he wants him to be a key player for the team. We've got Kyogo as our main striker. Now, again, in some sort of fanciful land, having Edouard on the books as well and having those three strikers would be amazing. Of course it would. Maybe even a formation change there. But it is just not happening. It came out that Celtic were interested, but that was it. It's like me saying, I'm interested in winning the lottery, or I'm interested in Sydney Sweeney. It's not happening, right? Let's get realistic here. And plus as well, the kind of fee that would be in the picture for him, not that we couldn't afford it, but you're looking at least 12, maybe plus million right at the front end. And by God, they would want it straight up. They would want that right at the front end. So that isn't happening. Plus, the manager also said he wanted his third striker to be a potential youth product. It was obviously meant to be Vata. Didn't happen. Then there was also the talk of Ben Doak. That surfaced. Nothing really came of that. But now, Dice Maeders gave us a headache. So there you go. That's going to be the third striking option. That'll be the backup. And also, Matthias Bogus, he can be deployed as centre forward as well. So it looks like we're well covered there. So Odsonne Edouard, I hate to break your hearts. Get out your head. It's no happening as nice as it would be. Now, finally, in terms of outgoings, as I say, as we've mentioned, Mikey Johnson could be at some stage involved in a potential one coming in one way, one going the other for Austin Trusley down to Sheffield United. Obviously, there's still the Burnley interest there. That's all we've got at the moment. Nothing firm, nothing concrete, but as we say, we'll keep that one, keep an eye on that. However, one person who is 100% gone is Gustav Lagerbielke, because he is over to the Eredivisie and he is playing, like that wee bit of accent on that. He's away over to FC Twente. Quite interesting here. It's a season-long loan. There's been no chat around there being an option to buy, an obligation to buy. As it stands at this moment in time, it is just a straight-up loan for him. And he's going to go over there and he's going to take the place of a certain Mr. Proper, who was the captain and was signed by our rivals across the city. So there you go. They've brought in a guy from Twente, and they've replaced him with our fourth, fifth best centre back. Don't know what that says about Proper, but anyway, they like him, and he's away over there. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. As the manager says, he sang the praises of Lagerbielke, essentially says he's a great professional. He's been working hard. He's never threw his toys at the pram. It's important for him to get game time. The fact that it's a loan, the fact that it's over in Holland, it's a good standard of league. The question is, could there be a comeback on the cards at a later date? Should he go over there and tear it up, prove his worth, or is this simply just sending him out to a team similar like that we've done with Barkas, hoping that he goes over there, he performs, they like what they see, and it just increases his value a wee bit? Because at £3.5 million that we paid for him, yeah, we could probably get that back quite easily, but when you've not been playing a lot of football, it is quite hard to sell that. Teams will want to see what they've got there first rather than what he's previously done, because if you look at his period at Celtic, game time has been next to nothing, and that's always going to be hard for an agent and a club to try and sell to a would-be suitor. So all the best to Gustav Lagerbielke. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on there, and as we say, who knows, there might be a comeback at a later date on the cards. We'll see. Also, one last guy that the circling rumours are around about. Nothing concrete. There's been no direct clubs mentioned, no league destination, but it's Lewis Palmer. Big question marks over Lewis Palmer's future at Celtic. Certainly, it looks as if he's a guy that is fallen quickly out of favour with Brendan Rodgers, struggling at occasions to get himself on the bench, let alone minutes on the park. We've sat here and spoke about it in Celtic World Order. And for me, I just think it's about all-round application and attitude. Now, in case you didn't see this, I don't know what you think it. Let us know in the comments. He put this up on his TikTok story. It's the kind of thing that we poke fun at a certain Mr. Cantwell for doing, and translated, it says, resilience. What doesn't break you, rebuilds you, transforms you. I don't know about yourselves, but I'm not all for this sort of, guesswork, cryptic post garbage. I don't think it's very becoming of a professional footballer. Yeah, we saw what happened with Ida. Some would say down tools. I didn't particularly like that, if I'm being honest. Sometimes it's easier to praise it when the shoe's in the other foot and it goes to benefit you, but I didn't particularly like that from Ida, but nonetheless, I'm happy that he's finally at Celtic. But in terms of Palmer, I think at an early stage in his Celtic career, coming in for the fee that he did, circa £4 million, this is garbage. This is very, very disappointing. I think it's disrespectful if it's a negative slant on it. Again, you can read into this as many ways as you want. You might say that he's saying, I'm going to build myself back up. I'm out the squad now, but I'm determined and it'll make me stronger. Or you could say it's some sort of cryptic nonsense that he's pushing for a move, that he wants to get out, that he's shown that he's discontent and he wants to be elsewhere. Either way, as I says, it's not for me. I don't really like sort of seeing these things, particularly when we are in a really good place as a squad at the moment. We're performing well. There's a real togetherness in the team. You can see that on the pitch. And then again, just to bring him back into it, you look at guys like Matt O'Reilly. Now, I know that he was playing every week and he was, tearing it up. But despite things being around that he was potentially going to move, and it turns out that actually there'd been apparently discussions ongoing for quite a while, he was still going out and he was still giving 100% commitment to Celtic on that pitch at risk of injury and everything else. When you're not playing, you've still got to show commitment to the team. You've still got to show that you are committed to the cause, and you've got to be singing for the same hymn sheet. In terms of Lewis Palmer, yeah, you look at his stat attack, you look at his assists, you look at his goals, it looks fantastic on paper, but the reason why I think he's on a sugary peg is not so much to do with his TikTok thing, but he just doesn't have the same level of intensity, the same level of passion, the same level of commitment when he is on that pitch, and it speaks volumes. He's getting pushed out by a very rejuvenated James Forrest. But again, for as great as James Forrest has been, if we're being completely honest, in 2024, should he be one of our key options? Well, probably not. No, he shouldn't. He should be looking at that. I'm getting forced out by a guy that folk were writing off, that folk thought was over the hill. Then there's Maeda. Then there's also the Kuhn problem. And then there's also, Nicholas Kuhn's been tearing it up. He's been shown, he's confirmed, he's transformed himself. So Nicholas Kuhn's a problem for him. Bogus would be a massive problem for him as well with that versatility he's got. He really needs to up his game. and it looks as if the rumours have been swirling that there could be talk of him on the way out. Where he would go, however, I have not got a clue. I do not know where he would end up. As I say, there's been no teams mentioned. There's been no leagues mentioned. Probably alone, I think, in the first instance. Potentially, he could take himself over to somewhere in Spain, one of the sort of peripheral teams or something like that. That had been sort of, been rumours that was maybe something that would have happened a while back there. But we'll see how that one pans out. For me, as I say, I think his coat is on a very, very sugary peg. I don't think that he has been doing enough when he gets on. As I say all the time on this channel, chances at Celtic are finite. When you get any time on the park, whether we're trailing, whether we're ahead 2-3-0, it doesn't matter. You've got to give the same. You've got to show the same level of drive, determination. How many times have we seen him come on very lacklustre, no tracking back, no doing his defensive work, loses the ball, does that stupid laugh and lets it happen? That's not going to wash with Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers wants guys who are bought in, hook, line and sinker, that are committed to the cause, that are committed to the vision, and that give it their all. They leave it all out there on the pitch, and he's simply not doing that. And to say, I think that's one worth keeping an eye on between now and the end of this transfer window, because for me, I think he could be a guy who's going to find himself out in the cold. If we don't get him out on loan, then I think that you'll maybe start to see him drift out of the side. Similar that we have done with Lagerbielke, just not even in the picture. And the same goes for Yang as well. For me, I just don't think that this is one that's worked. Again, there's been nothing really mentioned there, but just broadly speaking, in terms of what we're looking at bringing in versus what we have, I think that the quality that we're looking to bring in, that is going to be something that his tea is going to be out. And yeah, for me, Yang, if you could get him out similar like we've done with Kwon, get him out on loan, or again, even just sell him, then I would be all for that. So that is another one that is worth keeping an eye on. But one of the headline ones, and we've seen that breaking the lastly before we go, is it's all heating up with Arnie Engels, because it was as soon as we got O'Reilly down there to Brighton, it was confirmed straight up. Celtic had made their move for Arnie Engels and went over to Augsburg, tabling an initial £6.5 million bid. That was quickly rebuffed, and it came and says that nope, that's not been accepted. However, do not worry with regards to this one. There is a lot of positives around this deal. Information I understand is that Celtic and Augsburg have actually agreed on the deal. They have agreed on the overall fee, the overall package, and personal terms have been agreed with the player. He is very, very keen to come to Celtic. He wants to play at a club of our stature. He wants to play in the Champions League. And as I say, the information that I understand is that the actual overall fee, the package, the total, somewhere like with either it was 8.5 going up to 9.5, the overall package has been agreed. Where the negotiation comes in is how much we're giving them up front. We've offered 6.5 at the front end. They're wanting a wee bit more. Now, in terms of his price range, again, depending on what you read, what you see, it was talking that it could be anywhere between 7 million up to 9 million euros. So we're talking in about that either pocket and around about that £8 million mark. How much more will Celtic need to give them to get that over the line right away? We've got it. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing it. And he would be the heir apparent. He would be the direct replacement for Matt O'Reilly. Now, as I say all the time, two players are not the same. They are not the exact same player, but in terms of what he offers, in terms of how he gets about the pitch, what he does, he's a lot closer to O'Reilly than anything that we have currently at the club. Celtic are pursuing this one, and I'm very, very confident, as I am with Bogus, and obviously, as I say, Valle, that's in the bag. You take that to the bank. I am very confident that Valle, Bogus, and Engels will be the three 100% nailed on signings by the end of Friday. And potentially, as we said, that we've got the options there. Maybe Truss will be coming in. Potential for us to go, maybe one or two wee surprises. But I'm thinking by Friday, there will be four guys in. Engels, Valle, and Bogus, for me, will be the ones that are getting them. So that's the latest updates. That's everything that we have at this moment in time. I'm sure you'll agree, absolutely positive. It's going in the right direction. And again, it looks as if we'd be spending a right good chunk of that O'Reilly money. We'd still be in profit at the end of it, such as the way of Celtic. However, in terms of quality, we can't really argue. And that's the worst bit about it. That's where the board really frustrate you, because we know that we want more, we demand more, we should be getting more. But at the same time, you're like, damn, that'd be actually quite good signings. And that's the really frustrating thing. I don't think we are mass amounts. I think realistically we need 5 to 6, but I'm going to sit somewhere just over the middle. I'm going to say we'll get 4 in. And if we get 4 in that are of the standard that we've just spoke about, then hell, I think that we're going to be taking care of business domestically. And when we get this draw on Thursday, we'll see what we get with the Champions League. But we could be very optimistic, particularly if we continue the way that we've been playing this season so far, taking that into Champions League with this kind of extra quality in the team. And yeah, there's reason to be optimistic. Well, anyway, that is us for today. As always, if something breaks, if it happens in the next half hour or an hour, we'll be back on tonight to talk about this. I'll be back with Paddy, we'll be back with Josh, and of course, we've got the Champions League draw to look forward to. We'll be covering that come Thursday, and also we've got that big Glasgow derby against Rangers that we'll be previewing as well on Friday. So, as I say, make sure, hit the subscribe, hit the bell icon, get notified as and when these videos come up. So once again, thank you for taking the time to come back to Celtic World Order. And as always, take care of yourself, and hail, hail.